Hello, and welcome once again to another exciting journey through the SCP files. Today, we've got something really kind of unique, I think. We're going to be looking at a never-ending game of chess with really, really high stakes. Well, this chess game could last 260,000 years. Introducing SCP-5370, a mind-bending anomaly that blurs the lines between game theory, communication, and the paranormal.
Whoa! 260,000 years? That's longer than human civilization has existed. What on earth could justify a game lasting that long?
Well, that's the fascinating part. This isn't just any chess game. It's a complex system designed to facilitate communication with an entity known as Red Team. The game, called SCP-5370, is played on an infinite grid simulated by powerful computers. It's classified as a Thaumiel object class, which means it's used to contain other anomalies.
An infinite grid? How does that even work in practice?
So, while the board is theoretically infinite, most of the action has stayed within a 110 by 110 space. But get this, each player starts with 128 pieces instead of the usual 16. And we're not talking about your standard rooks and pawns here.
That sounds incredibly complex. What kind of pieces are we talking about?
Oh, you wouldn't believe it. There's something called a huygens that can only move a prime number of spaces diagonally. And that's just one example. The game also has a modified 50-move rule, and get this, each player has 10 years to make a move.
10 years per move? That's insane. How long has this game been going on?
It started on January 4th, 1983. So we're looking at almost 40 years of gameplay so far. But here's where it gets really interesting. The game's primary purpose isn't to win, but to communicate with Red Team.
Communicate? You're making it sound like Red Team isn't just another group of chess fanatics. What exactly are we dealing with here?
The document we're looking at is frustratingly vague on that point. But it does mention that ending the game would have unacceptable consequences for Red Team due to the nature of their confinement.
Confinement? Oh, this is starting to sound less like a game and more like some kind of, I don't know, interdimensional prison?
You might not be far off. The SCP Foundation is actually trying to prolong the game as much as possible. They're researching suboptimal moves to avoid ending it prematurely.
So they're intentionally trying not to win? That's a complete reversal of normal chess strategy. Do we have any idea what kind of information Red Team is providing that makes this worthwhile?
The specifics are classified, of course, but there's a disturbing communication log that gives us some hints. It describes a ritual involving human materials to communicate with Red Team. And, get this, there's an ethics committee involved, which suggests they're aware of the moral implications of what they're doing.
Human materials? Ethics committee? This is sounding more and more like something out of a science fiction horror story. What could possibly justify this level of, well, let's call it ethical flexibility?
Well, that's where the concept of the Black Room comes in. It's described as a theoretical location that can capture any personnel lost in the line of duty, regardless of their beliefs or position in the organization's hierarchy.
Wait, so we're talking about some kind of afterlife storage? That's both terrifying and fascinating. What's the purpose of something like that?
According to the document, it's to solve what they call an institutional knowledge problem. The SCP Foundation has an extremely high fatality rate and high turnover in positions of authority. They're trying to find a way to preserve knowledge even when they lose personnel.
That's actually kind of brilliant in an ethically questionable way. I mean, are we talking about trapping people's souls or consciousness after they die?
The document mentions creating a morally neutral value space to minimize harm to the inhabitants of this black room.
It sounds like they're trying to justify something that's ethically questionable at best, but I can't help but wonder, what kind of knowledge are they dealing with that makes this seem necessary? It makes you wonder about the nature of knowledge itself. How far would we go to preserve what we know? What sacrifices would we make?
Right. What is Red Team? Where do they come from? What are their motivations? These are questions that the Foundation is desperately trying to answer. It seems the only way to do that is to keep playing and maintain this line of communication.
What do you think the Foundation will do if they can't find a way to end the game safely? What if they can't prolong it forever? It's like they're trapped in a scenario with no good outcomes. Either they risk harming Red Team by ending the game, or they continue this ethically questionable communication process indefinitely. It really highlights the difficult choices the Foundation has to make when dealing with these kinds of anomalies. It's like opening a door you can never close. The Foundation's playing a game they don't fully understand against an opponent they can barely comprehend. And the stakes are incredibly high.
The consequences of failure could be devastating. They're blindly navigating this complex web of strategy and ethics with no clear path forward. SCP-5370 is a stark reminder that some mysteries are best left unsolved.
So, what do you think are the main takeaways from this bizarre chess game and the secrets it seems to hold?
Well, I think the biggest lesson here is that the pursuit of knowledge can lead us down some unexpected and ethically complex paths. It's up to us to decide how far we're willing to go and what price we're willing to pay for information. And perhaps most importantly, it reminds us that there's always more to learn, more to discover about our world and ourselves.
That's a great way to sum it up. It's definitely given me a lot to think about.
Me too. And on that note, I think it's time we wrap up this episode. Remember, the next time you set up a chessboard, take a moment to appreciate the game's depth. You never know what secrets might be hidden within its moves.